Welcome to another episode of last week's Comics Today. I am sick once again. I'm told it's probably viral. Not the vid this time, which is good, but it still sucks in the meantime. So I'm going to get through this hopefully quickly. I do have a rant near the end of this that I think might take some time. So, like I said, let's get into this. And we're going to start with Dark Ride number 2. Now, the book says that about a month has passed since issue 1, and it's not immediately obvious that that's the case, but it does get revealed later in the book after I was confused about one of the characters that I thought was somebody from issue 1, and it turns out, no, they just look similar because time has passed, and that guy's gone, and it's a woman now, so there's reasons for all of that, which I'm not going to spoil here, but there's a reason for all of that. Now, this doesn't progress the story much. This is more, I'm going to say, character development. And that's fine. I like this creative team. I trust. They know what they're doing. I read all of Birthright, which was a fantastic series. So I'm giving them some leeway. And I am very curious to see where this goes. And I'll let you know as I get future issues. But this is good. It's just not great on its own, I'll say. Perhaps wait for the first trade if you are curious, and maybe at that point, you know, once it's 4 to 6 issues in, it will be a larger chunk of story that you can really sink your teeth into. Up next is Do a Powerbomb issue 6. There is one issue left in the series, so it will conclude next issue. I am eventually going to spoil something that happens in the previous issue, so if you don't want to be spoiled, then skip ahead, but I will give you a moment because there's something I want to show off here as soon as I find it. Here we go. Alright, so they're fighting. They go into the crowd. He goes up the stairs. Look at this, and then this splash page is just perfection. Look at that. I mean, that is, if he lands that, it's devastating. Oh man, I love this book. This is unquestionably my pick of the week. Spoilers. But, okay, so last issue, skip now to avoid spoilers. Sun and Steel lose the tournament. They are defeated by, it's the championship round. They wind up losing the tournament, and through, I'll get to that in a second. So, they lose the tournament. It's issue 5 of 7. I'm like, well, what are you going to do for the next 2 issues? And that gets explained here. And issue 7 is going to be absolute insanity based on how this ends. But they lose the tournament, and the series is still going. So obviously things happen as they do. But it's incredibly good. Highest possible recommendation. It is it's a family story. It's a story of love and redemption, and it's just incredibly good. It's using wrestling as sort of a framing device to tell the story about family that's just incredibly well done. So it's similar to how Murder Falcon used death metal to talk about, again, sort of redemption, but forgiveness and friendship. And I mean, it's Daniel Warren Johnson is just an incredible creator, both writer and artist, and I will continue following his work. Ideally, things that he writes and draws himself, because I did have a problem with that Jurassic League that he wrote but didn't draw, and ideally things that he owns. So he did Wonder Woman and he did Beta Ray Bill, but I will always support creators that are owning their own work, and this is really well done. Speaking of really well done, we have Minor Threats issue 3. This is a 4-issue series, so it will conclude next issue. Things did not go well for our main character here last issue. That is dealt with, and this ends in such a way that there's something I want to show off, but I do want to avoid spoilers, so give me a second. Okay, first, I want to just show this off, because this is, just look at how great this artist is. That's phenomenal. I love it. Alright, that's not what I wanted to show off, though. Okay, so at one point, our team can you hear the air quotes on that, is walking into a strange part of town. And I always love sequences like this in comics because you can really just go crazy with everything. Right? This. I love whenever comics gets to just cut loose and draw insane things. So this is also really well done. The writing is great, the art is fantastic, and the story is also great. So this I additionally highly recommend. At this point, you could, I don't know, it's only a 4-issue series, so you could pick up the previous 2 issues probably pretty easily, or just wait for the trade, which I will recommend when that comes out too, because I will be buying this for sure. But I did mention something a minute ago, which is this book ends in such a way where it seems like more is about to happen that can fit into a single issue. So I don't know what's going to happen. I guess I'll find out next month, but I'm eagerly awaiting that. So this did not come out this past week. I've got Predators issue 3 and 4, but I expect I'm going to talk for quite a while about WildC.A.T.S. I'm putting that at the end, and I'm going to talk about both of these. This came out for me last week. For you, it'll be 2 weeks ago, but don't worry about that. So, issue 3, I'll go back further. Issue 2 ends with our main character has broken into a base to get spare parts and food for her ship that is slowly, over the course of 16 years, something, a decade plus, it has been steadily falling apart. She needs to do maintenance on it so that she can keep flying and keep searching for the predator that killed her family, which is the basic story for this. It's a revenge story. But anyway, in this nearly abandoned base, she sees that there's a predator there as well, and that leads to a fight and a chase, and that continues here. The chase continues. And ultimately, this issue ends with her meeting some humans, but the ship that she's trying to repair is stolen. And the humans that own that ship show up at the end of this, and they are displeased. So, I'm very curious to see where that's going to go next issue. And somehow this story wraps up in 6 issues, so she needs to meet that predator again pretty soon, I'm saying, right? Probably at the end of issue 5, and then issue 6 will be whatever resolution to that is. I expect bloodshed. But this is highly enjoyable, and I'll probably start getting this as the issues actually come out rather than picking them up after the fact. But it's good, is what I'm saying. Lastly, we have WildC.A.T.S. And just to get this out of the way, this book is terrible. Maybe not terrible, it is pedestrian, it's okay at best. It's not how you launch what should be a major title. It's just bad. It's there's one thing that there's a couple of panels in here that I want to show off at some point, but also I just noticed this, and I hate that face too. Also, his head looks small and his hand looks large, but I'm gonna get to this panel in a minute, but before that, I want to talk about this idea that I came up with a couple of days ago, really in response to this. So these are the variant covers, right? And I need to put some more thought into this, but my thinking is that the more variant covers a comic has, the less faith the publisher has in the internal contents of the book, the more that they are ultimately trying to sell more copies of a book based on the cover than they are the contents, which I think is just backwards and dumb. But, you know, when Dynamite book has a dozen variant covers, and I don't know anyone that's reading anything Dynamite, like, how are you still in business? I don't understand. But, everything now has variant covers, or mostly everything. And I don't understand how comics still exists as a business with the people that are running those companies. Is what I want to say there. I perhaps should have known that I wasn't going to enjoy this if I had looked at the creative team. Rosenberg is a guy, I've tried several of his previous series, Task Force Z and DC vs. Vampires, which he co-wrote with Tinian. I also don't like Tinian, but I tried What's the Furthest Place from Here, which gets a lot of hype, and I could not get into it. I tried. I put in my best effort, and I could not do it. So I should have known not to try anything Rosenberg, and yet I wasn't paying attention. I saw WildC.A.T.S. I'm like, oh, I'll give one issue a shot, and it's so dumb. It's so bad. We get Grifter, right? And people who don't like me call me Grifter. People who don't want to live call her Zealot. Like, I hate the narration already. It's page 2, and I hate the narration. I hate whatever's happening. I hate this outfit for Zealot. Like, what the hell is any of that? One of the things that I think any Wildstorm title should have is great art. And this is, I think I said pedestrian earlier, but look at this panel. Look at his leg, look at his foot, how small that foot is. And I think there's maybe some foreshortening going on, but that doesn't explain why his shin is at least 1.5 times longer than his femur. It's terrible. And look, there's a couple of pillars that I think the Wildstorm universe used to have, and I think it should have. And this is completely my opinion, and I have not read everything that they have done, because I think a chunk of it is terrible. But in my opinion, it is the superpowers, for sure. And then you have government agencies, stuff like IO, which is either international operations or later internal operations. I was just reading this morning. Was checking out a couple of wikis before giving this rant, and then secrecy, and that may be in the form of a Daemonite war, or it may be espionage like Sleeper. But you've got stuff like Stormwatch, government agency. You've got everything going on with Team 7, Gen 13. It's both a government agency and the secret experiments, stuff like that. And on top of this, I think you need fantastic art, right? Because those launch titles aren't known for being well written. There are well-known criticisms that those artists came to Image and were trying to recreate, be it X-Men, what they were doing over at the Big Two. But then they got better writers, right? And some great things happened. But you need, foundationally, great art. Whether that's Cassidy on Planetary, or you've got Quietly on Authority, or Sean Phillips on Sleeper, the stuff that's after the launch titles. So I know at least Berg is not a fan of Jim Lee, but a lot of other people are. Jim Lee drew the hell out of those early issues, and then you got Travis Charest that comes in. Like, foundationally, I think Wildstorm needs good art, and this is not that. Also, when it comes to WildC.A.T.S, what you are competing against for me is version 3.0, which is Dustin Nguyen, Joe Casey, and Dustin Nguyen, as I say often, is one of my favorite artists, and really long term. But this is what you're competing against, in my opinion, and this, I wish this had lasted longer than it did, but this is phenomenal. It's incredibly well done. If you have not read WildC.A.T.S 3.0, highly recommend it. I would like to reread this, but I can't even. I'm behind on some of my current stuff. So it's not well written. The art is not great. I would be very surprised if this goes past 6 issues, because I think this will quickly be canceled. I don't know who this is aimed at, but I would like to make a pitch to DC editors. I do think introducing Henry Bendix in Son of Superman was good. I think you trickle in Wildstorm characters. Grifter in Batman I thought was a weird choice, but whatever. I mean, when he was protecting Lucius Fox, I thought it was interesting. I thought it was going to lead to more stuff, and if this is what it led to, then forget everything. This is terrible. This also does seem like a different version of Grifter than what I had read, and I didn't read much of it, but what I had seen in Batman when he was protecting Lucius Fox. He immediately pulls up his mask, and then he looks like an absolute doofus, smoking. It's terrible. It's so bad. Absolute jackass. There's another thing in here too, and I don't know if this is a pre-existing character, but at one point Grifter is in a bar, and there's a reference to his brother. He says that brother's name as Max, and some parent named their kid Max Cash. They must have hated him. And if that was not a pre-existing, whoever created that name, whether it was Rosenberg or someone else, it's such a terrible name, it fills me with rage. Max Cash. Bunch of jackasses. So anyway, my pitch, right? I was talking about, you sprinkle in Wildstorm characters, and I'm saying that Bendix in Son of Superman was a good choice. That's fantastic. Put him on an international stage, get him out there, and I think the other thing that should have been done is after Event Leviathan, I think you should have introduced international operations in the absence of those espionage, the information agencies around the world that Bendis destroyed in the lead up to Checkmate, and then has nothing been done with Checkmate since then. I didn't read any of it, but I think you could have done something better. I think you should start with Lynch as the Wildstorm equivalent of Nick Fury. I think he could be a lot of different places. I think you could slot him in and introduce through him other characters, introduce concepts, the secrecy, the government agencies, and superpowers, right? And DC's big thing is legacy. So with Lynch, you've also got Team 7 and potentially Gen 13. Like, I don't know what DC are doing. I don't understand the thought processes. I don't know how this got published. This is terrible, and it will quickly be canceled. It will quickly be forgotten. Ideally, I'm saying this should get canceled quickly and forgotten. It's disappointing. And I think on this 30th anniversary of the founding of Image, I think this is just a disgrace as far as trying to reintroduce the concept of Wildcats into the DC universe, which I think can be done. This is not how to do it. Alright, so that is everything that I got either this week or previous weeks, but it is thankfully a small week, and I am done talking for now. I can go rest, but Do a Powerbomb is the pick of the week. Dark Ride is off to a great start. Minor Threats is amazing. Definitely pick up this or the trade that should be coming out soon. Other than Wildcats, it was a good week for comics. As always, I get my books from a local comic shop. If you don't know where yours is, you can use this URL to find the one closest to you. Thanks for watching.